welcome to the show. Let me introduce this everybody. Since I started this show, when are we going to get one of the greatest ever to do it? The legend, George St. Pierre. Let me just bring him in.
What's up, man?
George, thank you so much, man. Thanks so much for coming on. We were just getting the thing started. I know I was a little out of breath. I was doing some push-ups under the table because I know you look so good. George, you've seen me, we know each other a long time. You've seen me fat a lot of times. I'm not bringing this to me right away, but don't I look okay?
You look fantastic.
Thank you. George, you always look good. Man, George, before we get started, we're gonna get into the our love of Star Wars. And I want to keep it positive, so I'm going to steer clear of the acolyte. But we're going to talk about our love of everything Star Wars. But before we do that, I love to talk about our origin story. Or just when we first met, you know? I remember, I'm going to tell you my first time I remember our first encounter. And then I want to see when what your memory was. But I remember it was you and David the Crow Loazo, and yes. For some reason we were checking our weight somewhere. It was a fight week in Vegas, and we were laughing about stuff. I was fighting 155 back then, and I just remember laughing a little bit and always having nice encounters with you before we. Right?
I remember you beat my teammate. He was training at TriStar with us, Ivan Menjivar.
Oh, Ivan's tough. You fought Ivan also.
My first fight in UFC, you fought Ivan Menjivar.
Yes. And you fought Carol Parisian.
That's it.
Carol's tough, no?
Yeah, he was very, very tough.
Threatening with Kimura's
style, very unusual style, very good with his Kimura.
And it was and you beat him. You out-grappled him. You were exploding into double legs. He was threatening with Kimuras in the beginning. And in that, back then, with that fight, you pretty much out-grappled him in that fight.
Yeah, he was a judo guy, so I knew that if I would go in his leg, he would not have been very successful. But he surprised me. He had a technique that he used when he grabbed the Kimura, he went with a Sumigaishi, and he almost got close to armbar me a few times.
He's one of those guys that, I fought him also. And, he just keeps going he's got that endurance. And from the judo, he does some unorthodox shit in there. No? Didn't he feel a little, right? He had that gorilla strength. He was strong.
Yeah, he's got very strong hips and very unorthodox style. Exactly. I'm used to train with wrestlers mostly and jiu-jitsu guys. So judo, I have some judo training partner, but Caro is one of these guys that he brought judo into MMA. A lot of judo guys, they cannot change to MMA very effectively because they don't have the grip. But Caro is very good even with no gis on. He used the body and he grab you in a certain spot that it works for him.
I know. I got thrown by him. In the beginning, when he was trying to throw me, I was sprawling with it, taking it away. But when I got a little tired, it sucked, George. You got me with a couple of those. But and when I fought Ivan Menjivar, first of all, he reminds me of Puck from Alpha Flight. You know what that is? You know who I'm talking about. He has no neck. And I remember he's such a nice guy, and he's so calm in there. It actually, George, he might have been one of the guys that freaked me out the most fight week and stuff because he's so relaxed, that guy. No?
Yeah.
He's just calm.
I remember I was talking to him, and for him he seems like he was never nervous. Before a fight, I'm more of a sort of a coward type of guy. I'm scared. I always ask myself, what the hell am I doing here? I should never have been here. I'm scared, and I can't sleep well the night before. And,
you're so honest,
but
George.
Ivan is completely different. He's like he's going to a party. It's very, very weird. That's how he does dealing with stress. I
was on his back looking to strangle him, and he was hitting me in my face. And every time he hit me, he'd go, "Sorry." I'm like, the guy's what the fuck? I'm trying to strangle him. He's apologizing for hitting me. wacky. But
yeah,
hey.
I fought Ivan. My first fight in mixed martial art was against Ivan.
I seen
it. And he was talking to me during the fight as well. Like he says, he was saying some weird stuff to me. And actually the fight got stopped because he was talking. He was saying in French, "Ça va, ça va." That means, okay, okay, okay. So the referee stopped it because that means he thought that it was okay. I have enough, but he was saying, "I'm okay. I can continue." He
was a character, man, a character. I went to suplex him, and he had a Kimura locked on, and he kept it locked on, and he was so short I missed his head. So I'm like, you little fucker. But he's a great guy. I remember getting to know you more on The Ultimate Fighter Season 4.
Yes.
As they brought you in as a, because we were all veterans, they brought assistant coaches in. So it was, and remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I remember that. Matt, I've lost the fight against Matt Hughes.
Yes.
And Matt Hughes was a kind of, when he came on the show, he gave us a little bit of attitude. You know, he was a little bit cocky with us, you know, because he was a competitor to us, so it was maybe normal from his part. But and then you made an impression of him that was hilarious. I remember, like, because I beat Hughes in the rematch.
Yes.
And
yes.
Man, I still laugh till to this day. And the impression.
That impression I was doing, I believe, more on Season 6 because I was set to fight him. And I was doing what he was called.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But Season 4, know what's so funny about this? My whole rivalry with Matt Hughes started because of you from Season 4. I don't even know if you know this.
Yeah.
We were at that Japanese, or we were at that restaurant, remember? And Matt Hughes, you guys fought only once before, and that's when he got the arm lock off Kimura.
Yeah, and he asked me, "Do you want me to show you how to get out of an armbar?"
He was being a prick. He was not being that. He was being a bully.
Ironically, is I beat him in the third fight with an armbar.
Oh no, you got your revenge. But at the time, you know, before that Season 4, I always got along with Matt Hughes, like kind of jokingly, and we never really hung out, but we were very friendly. But after I seen the way he was acting to you, you know, the cameras are always on us. So they went back to the van. I'm with Patrick Cote and my team, Dean Thomas, all funny guys. And I go, yo, that Matt Hughes, what a prick, huh, man? You see, I'm being honest because he was being rude to you. And that's how it started with me and Matt Hughes. You know what I mean? Because George is such a nice guy, Christian, that he'll get, listen, a head kick later, an arm lock after that. He'll get his revenge on you the right way, but he's a gentleman.
But you knocked me out the first time.
Oh, wait, with me?
I remember going into the fight with you. I was worried because you were known for your grappling.
Yes.
You know, like everybody knew you hit hard, but I was going there. I was thinking, like, man, he's going to try to bring me down. Even all my training partners, he's going to try to put you down. He's going to try to put you down. And to your credit, you came with a strategy that completely took me off guard. Like because I was expecting you to try to shoot on me, to try to do what you normally do. But now, man, you clipped me with that punch. I got dizzy, man. That was it. And then I hit a few more, and man, that was a great strategy, great masterfully executed. That was perfect.
You know what sucks about that strategy is you can only use it once, George. It didn't. The rematch. Listen. Yeah, let's talk about the rematch now. Our first fight, I had kind of an ace up my sleeves because realistically, stylistically, you know, if I fought you the way I fought anybody on Season 4, it would have been a rough night. You could have fought me off the couch, and you fought way better wrestlers than me. Frank Trigg, Sean Shirk, Matt Hughes, Mayhem Miller, Stan Parisian. Their feet to floor takedowns are better than mine. So George, if I had to try to fight you with that strategy, dude, it's a long night, and I understood the odds. And so I had to take my chances standing, you know? And I knew that nobody expected me to do that, and I was hoping you didn't. All right, so that went well for me. All right, now, all right, we had that. That was my moment. If I had a story in my life, it would have ended after that, and then it would have said in the credits, yeah, he lost the rematch, and then he knocked out Frank Trigg, and something like that. That's me. You, my friend. Now I want to tell everybody, now people think about the fight game is just being physical. The mental game, it could just break you. And the pressure you had after that, must have been brutal. And then they had to go on and fight a monster like John Fitch in the very next fight. I mean, and John Fitch, confident as hell, was dying to he wanted a title. He was dying for a title fight. I forgot his record, but it was pretty good. I mean, he came over, he was a champion from another organization. Everybody wanted to see that fight. And he had to go on to that fight right after me. So to beat John Fitch the way you did, and to go on and never lose again, George. George, you are one of the best to ever do it. I'm not just gassing you up. I mean, this is facts. Tell me something about the mental game, because somewhere in Canada there's a lake with a brick with my name on it. Isn't there, George?
Yeah. So when I lost the fight to you, what happened is before that I just beat Matt Hughes. So Matt Hughes at the time was seen like one of the greatest. Yes. Yeah, he was a legend. So I beat the legend, and I remember everybody was telling me how good I am and this and that, and I was like the new thing, the new kids on the block. And even I never been arrogant. I start to have a sort of a false feeling of security, in a way that even in my entourage, people were more worried with the fight against Matt Hughes. And you, to your credit, you fought your way up to a title shot, and you work really, really hard. You did not have it easy. You work hard, and you grind to it. It's not like you demolish everybody easy and you went up, and you grind your way in, and that's a beautiful story. It's like a Rocky,
Thank you.
And I think you mentioned it before. You felt like you were going against Rocky, against the Russians.
Yes.
And it was a great analogy.
Yeah.
And that's how it was, in a way, because like before you were there, you were champion. Matt Hughes was there and demolishing most of all his opponents,
Yes.
and you grind your way to the top. So I came in there, and because of you were mostly known at the time for your grappling prowess. You're champion in jiu-jitsu and everything, and all the guys that you're from, Enzo Gracie, who's a legend. I was mostly concerned about your grappling.
Yes.
So most of my strategy was how I'm gonna neglect his grappling and beat him with the striking. So, but you came in very well prepared. You controlled the distance very well. I couldn't get to you. And your defense was very sharp. You're training with Ray Longo,
Yes.
he made your defense like a shield, like that unpenetrable shield.
Thank
and
you.
the only way I could get through you is by getting closer to you. And when I got closer, you cut me, I remember, with a punch, and I never saw coming. It was coming outside of my field of vision. And then I got angry. I was like, man, it was the first time that I got rocked in my life. I was like, man, I'm going to give it back to him right away.
Yeah.
But it's not a good idea to jump into a slugfest when you're stunned.
Yeah, no. It's hard. You don't get your feet under you,
Yeah, and then I got tagged, and ended up on my back. And I even tapped on strike, which I got a lot of criticism for, because he said, he didn't went out on his shield. Because the thing is that you hit really hard, and I knew I was done. I was so dizzy. I didn't know where the floor was. I was all messed up. So I wanted to save my brain and not take an unnecessary damage, So I tap. Then the referee separate us, and then after I came back to myself and then after all the critics, everybody was saying, he's weak mentally. He tap on strike, and he's not as good as we thought he was. He's not the fighter that we thought he was. It's just a short firework, and that's it. Now the floodgates is open. He's gonna lose all his confidence, and this thing gets to you a little bit. So I remember I used to work with a sports psychologist that came to help me, and he's very good. And to get back to the title, I needed to fight my way up again. I couldn't get my rematch right away. So, but I was obsessed of getting my rematch. I was obsessed, because I'm obsessive compulsive a little bit by nature. So I wanted to get back right away. But the problem is I was focusing on the wrong thing. You were hunting my mind like constantly because I was angry at myself. Yeah. I wanted to get back and erase that mistake. And so the sports psychologist says to me, George, you carry a lot of bricks. So he made me wrote a name with a brick, carry a brick in my training bag with your name on it, Serra.
Oh shit!
And I carry that in my bag weeks and weeks and weeks, and it was getting heavy, because when you go in TriStar, you have to go up the stairs, and you carry already my bag is heavy, but then with a brick inside, I was like, man, this is getting ridiculous. And I was calling him. I was like, can I get rid of the brick? It's ridiculous. He's like, no. And I kept carrying it. And like the week before the fight with Koscheck, because I was fighting Josh Koscheck, it was not for a title, but it was for a title contention. I was like, man, I was telling him, I was like, I'm very tired now. Like, can I get rid of the brick? He's like, yes. So I went near the Saint Laurent River, grabbed the brick, threw it in the river. And it sounds weird, but it's an action that I did that had a psychological manifestation on me, because I felt like relief, and I was able to only focus on Josh Koscheck. Because if I would not have done that, I would have lost that fight as well, because I was like focusing on the wrong thing. I was not living the present moment. I was like, so that's how I got over that, and I regained my confidence after that fight. And then we had the rematch in Montreal.
Now we're gonna get to that, but normally, if somebody told me that with the brick, I would say it's straight voodoo. I go, get out of here with that. But you never lost. There's something to it that you never lost since. Now, the rematch. Let's talk about the rematch. Let me tell you something, George. 20,000 people in that stadium. You know what they were chanting. Now, you have memories of the brick. I have nightmares of chants. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Chants. The Canadians, so nice, right, Christian? Fuck you, Serra.
That was bad.
I'm loud. Ray Longo's louder than me. Between the first and second round, I didn't hear a word.
I couldn't hear Bruce Buffer announcing her name. It was Matt, I fought in Toronto in front of more than 50,000 people. Montreal crowd that night was the loudest I ever seen in my entire life. Like, it was insane. We shared that moment together. It was insane. Like,
yeah, we shared more than that. I shared your elbow in my face. Let's talk about.
I share your fist in my face.
Let's talk about the fight now, because hey, I talked about my moment in the sun. That's it, a million times, because everybody knows how great you are, and you only lost twice, and you never lost again, going down in history, and the rematch. So much pressure. Was this the first time in Canada?
It was the first time in Canada. Yeah, it was in Montreal the first time. And going into that fight, my strategy. Now I knew you were a good striker. So I was like, so my strategy was to use my reach and keep my strike, like mix the feet to floor, of course, if you over aggressive, but also mix my strike, but in a straight line, because the way you cut me, it's when I was close, and you cut me with a looping punch that came outside my field of vision, and you hit really hard with that punch. I study a lot of your video before that fight, and I saw you caught Caro Parisian, and you hit very hard. And even one of our training partner that we have in common, Mark Colangelo was telling me that you hit really hard with that crazy punch too. I think you broke his jaw.
I broke his jaw. I broke that poor guy. I broke his jaw with the 16-ounce gloves. So that does give you confidence. So George, when the fight started, I remember looking across the cage, and I remember you did, first of all, you did your push-ups for that fight. You looked like a fucking bull, and you were bouncing up and down. And you were in the zone, because I remember I put up the hand to go, we're going to touch gloves. At first you went, okay. Like you were almost like you thought I was messing with you at first with something. You're like, oh, okay. That type of thing. So then we did. And I remember I'm like, he gets close. I'm going to fire right there. I'm going to go below his shoulders. I'm going to fire a right hand. Now, I'm not that slow, but God, man, your timing that night made me look a lot slower than I am. And because timing is everything. And you're so explosive. So the second I shot the right, you went right underneath. Now listen, George, I remember expecting to be on bottom a little bit. So I'm like, when he plays tight with me, and I never did it before, and I wanted to do it. Dude, I don't have Kenny Florian elbows, all right? So I remember when your head's there, I'm like, I'm going to push and just snap fucking elbows, and then I'll get on the offense with my guard. I pushed your head, and I hit you with an elbow. I fucked my ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve?
Oh, God.
Ulnar nerve? Anyway.
Yeah,
Dude, and then you forced half guard. It felt like my arm from my elbow down, I couldn't, like somebody, I have the dead hand, like you're sleeping on your hand. So I felt like my hand is gone. You're forcing half guard. Chance of fuck you, Serra. I go, this is going horrible. This is what I expected. So, hey, man, I did some good job. I did a good job the first round of reclaiming guard a few times, of not getting totally worked over. I might have got back to my feet once, if I remember. I didn't watch it alone.
No, you did.
You know what I mean? But this is what people must understand. There's a defeat. The most exhausting thing is up and down and up and down. Dude, I was shot by the second round, man. I don't know what my endurance was going. And then you landed, and I did, and then again, you got me down. I reclaimed guard again. And there was a perfectly placed elbow forearm to my orbital / nose that literally fucked me up. That said, all right, man, I'm fucked up. Let me go to all fours. People make a big deal about the knees were fucking dramatic. Hey, that looked good that looked great. Those knees you were dropping on me, I'm going to be honest, I was feeling more the face. And a few knees later, it stopped. How did you feel? I felt like shit, but how did you feel, my friend, with that well-deserved victory?
For me, it was one of the best moments of my career, because it was in Montreal, the first fight I had in Montreal with the UFC. And I remember that the next day, I was on the front page of one of the newspaper like this, and it was written, because in Canada, hockey is our national sport. It was written, the Barbarian overthrown the Montreal Canadian for record of crowd. And I was like, these same reporter that treat me of Barbarian are now the one calling me for interviews. That is funny. But they were uneducated at the time.
Wait, I was the Barbarian?
We were all barbarians.
No, man, George, you know what's funny about the Canadians? The chance of fuck you, Serra, but then after that, after you reclaimed your glory, they were the nicest people to me after that. I mean, they were, hey, Serra, there you are. I'm like, hey, guys, thanks. My eyes black. I got big glasses on. But, George, I'll tell you.
A lot of emotion involved when you fight, because, it's not like a game. You play hockey, you play basketball, you don't play fighting.
No.
And the outcome of it can affect you more than just a game. You can die out there, it affects your income and also your health. It's much more serious than a simple game.
Oh, no, listen, man. A good night in the office, and you know how it feels in there, is just, that's why some fighters stick around too long, but it's such a great feeling. But a rough night in the office is a dramatic experience. You know what I mean? It could really just, there's guys that that we're very lucky, George, because we made it through the other side. You know, look at us, man. We were hanging out, and thank you for the Manchester thing. You know, I had a great time. George hooked it up where we did an appearance together over in Manchester, England. That was great. That was a fun time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to catch up,
isn't it?
I seem to have to my career problem with Matt. Yeah. The two guys that I lost to are Matt Hughes and MATT SERRA.
Yeah. Well, listen, you and the best thing about your career is you got to redeem both those. You know, that night in Montreal, I don't care. You could have fought the devil. Nobody was beating you that night. I wasn't. Nobody. And I'll tell you, since then, the one other fight I want to talk about, really, because it's not talked about enough. People talk about double champ status. To go up in the fight Michael Bisping, who's an absolute savage, you know, I mean, and to beat him the way you did with the rear naked choke with the left hook, to go up a weight class after, how long were you off before you took that fight?
I was off a little bit more than 4 years. I was off, but I was training. I was always training. I was always active. But it was 4 years, a little bit more than that.
I mean, George, how amazing is that? Now, how did it feel when you did that? I'm so happy that you walked off after that. That's the small. What the fuck do you got to prove, man? What do you got to prove?
Yeah. I didn't plan on walking it off right away. I thought I would have stayed, but I got diagnosed with it's called ulcer colitis, and after that, it forces me to reconsider everything. I was like, you know what? Maybe the stress and everything,
dude,
and being trying to prove that I'm the strongest man, it was not my main priority now, you know. So I think I did the right choice. Most guys, they don't know when to stop, and they end up broke, beaten, and I think it's terrible to watch.
Is it hard now? Because I know you must be getting approached with these stupid, like the YouTube fights and you got to be getting approached by people, isn't it? I mean, was it hard for you ever to be like, wow, maybe I'll take the one more, it's a lot of cash? I mean, you did the right thing.
It's not. If I do something, it's because I want to be the best. I won't do it because just, you know, for just to show and the money, you know, we always want more, but that's not my primary motivation. And I'm going to say something that people might not believe me. Even when I was broke at the time when I first started, I swear it's true. I would have rather win a fight and make zero money than lose a fight and make $1 million. And this is true. And this is not everyone that can say the same thing. And I promise you, it's the truth.
Now, when guys get done fighting, they need to scratch that itch, because as a fighter, you know, the fighting, it's the adrenaline you get from that. Just the preparation for it, the day of it. I know it's a lot to go through, but when you lose it, guys, they need to fill that void somehow. So, like, you're keeping busy, man. Is acting doing that for you? What is that? What's filling that void now for that?
It's a lot of things. I'm more of an entrepreneur now. I have a different company. You know, like I have a company of home equipment that I sell online. I have a company that I'm of food supplement. I have also betting online. I have a vodka. I do instructionals, seminars, I have movies. I have a fitness platform. I'm very happy, you know, like, and I cannot wish for a better life. You know, I feel very lucky and privileged to have the life I have.
You know, there's guys like, I mean, power corrupts, man. Like, you see some guys get the success, and you were young when you got success.
Yeah.
How did you stay so grounded, man? Is it your close circle? Because listen, I'm not pointing out people, but look around now. There's guys going off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
You know, and they were in the same shoes that you're in, and look how you ended up. I mean, what advice could you give to these guys?
Well, I think is because a lot of the new generation they watch Conor McGregor, and because he made a lot of money being a good trash talker, and this is who he is. He's very good at it. I think some people they try to create a character around them,
Yeah.
and it shows that it's not authentic. I think I just stay authentic to who I am, and I didn't need to trash talk that because first English is not my first language. And also, it's just that I'm not good at it. I do my talking in the octagon.
Yeah.
But if you stay authentic to who you are, I think it's more charismatic than if you're trying to play someone that you're not. I think it shows at some point.
It's
and
so
I think
true.
that's the problem with a lot of the guys. They want to make money. They want to be. They want to have more eyes. They want to be more known. So they trash talk.
It's crazy, George. I remember being in the with me, Pete Sell, and Chael Sonnen. We were in the like the jacuzzi and the MGM. I was getting set to fight Matt Hughes, and he was in there gonna fight Damian Maia. And Chael Sonnen goes to me, he goes, "Look, you sold this fight, unbelievable. The way you sold this fight." And he's talking. I'm like, "Oh, that's great." He got out of the tub, and I go to Drago. I go, "Dude, I just really think the guy's a dick. I'm not trying to sell the fight." So I remember just being like, I was just being myself. And me and Matt are cool now and everything. And he's been through a lot. But back then, I remember just talking my mind about how I felt about the guy. I wasn't trying to play a role, but I guess I was a character. I don't know. It was funny. But Chael Sonnen
you always had a great sense of humor.
Chael Sonnen
could have made a career in as a stand-up comic, I'm pretty sure as well.
Hey, man, and you're killing it with the acting, man. I was so happy to see you in Winter Soldier with fighting Captain America.
Yeah, that was cool. In Marvel, I play Batroc, the Leaper, who's a character of the Marvel universe. That was a great experience, man. It's a big budget movie. It doesn't get bigger than this. I was very lucky to have the opportunity because the character fit me well. He's a French mercenary. He does Savat.
The French fight, the foot fighting. Role. And you reappeared in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's right, exactly. And there's a great fight scene on the plane, and then we jump in a parachute. We fight in mid-air, and it's pretty crazy. It was a lot of fun doing it.
I get a kick out of seeing you out on there, man. I love it because that's what this whole show's about. Me geeking about it, that type of stuff. Now, listen, we both have a love of Star Wars. We know this. That's how we talked about that on UFC Unfiltered. And when I found that out, I was like, come on, man. We could have been talking about this forever. Now, besides the stuff that I want to keep it positive. I talk about the Acolyte, that could just bring down the whole room.
It was not very well received. We can give our opinion, but most of the people did not really like it. Not
a lot of people like it. Now, you take that compared to a show, especially the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. I love the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. I thought it really kind of brought us back to the original OG series of Star Wars. What did you think of The Mandalorian?
I love The Mandalorian. I think it was great. It was great, and I think they're gonna make a movie now with The Mandalorian, so it's gonna be good. I feel like Disney is very politic now, and I think from the success of their last show, of Star Wars show, I think now they knew that it's not the way to go because people they don't like it. They just want to enjoy a show, they don't want to be remembered of the drama that we have in society. I think it's when you watch a show, you wanna how do you say, escape?
Yes.
You want to go somewhere else and have a good time and then go back into that Star Wars world with the lore. I think if you kill the lore and the world and you make it politics, it's not a good way to do it.
Out of all the series, the original 3, then the prequels, and then obviously the last 3, which was your favorite? Which one was your favorite?
My favorite, it was the original. The Empire Strike Back was my favorite. Then the Return of the Jedi. Then I like I like also the Phantom Menace. I like the prequel.
You did.
much better. The sequel were not my favorite at all. I think it went down the hill from there.
It did. But you know, when the first one I thought had hope though, like with Rey and the first one, The Force Awakens, I liked it. I really liked it, and it gave hope to what's next. And then Rian Johnson showed up in his space cruiser.
He killed Luke.
Oh man!
make him look so weak, and oh my god!
And nobody was upset more than Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was like, no, he hated what was going on.
Yeah,
it really took the character down. But I agree with you. I think that Han shot first. I love the Empire Strikes. One of my favorite lines ever is, this ahead of its time, or just so great. Han Solo going down, getting into the carbonite, about to get... he doesn't know if he's going to live or die. And Leia says to him, I love you. Come on, George. What does he say back?
Yeah. He says, I know.
Yes, he says, I know. Come, hit the applause button for Han Solo. Hit that in there. Come on, man. His character. That's a badass line, man. You know what I mean? And George...
apparently it was not in the script. He made it himself.
It's true. Harrison Ford. I just watched an interview with that when he said it looked like a blown opportunity for this character who's like a badass that's a blown opportunity. If he just says, I love you, he never shown that kind of side of him before. The Return of the Jedi gets a little lighter, but right there, he's going down. I know. Come on, man. I loved it. And it's just like him shooting first in the cantina. Darn right he did. In my Star Wars, he shot first.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of scenes that were crazy. There's a lot of scenes that they changed it on the dot, and they made it. They kind of improvised, and that's what makes it so good.
And with the prequels, my favorite, what saved The Phantom Menace for me was Darth Maul, and the fight scene at the end was one of the best fight scenes, I think, in any lightsaber Star Wars fight scene ever. With Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it right. Yeah. I always murder that name. With him and the young Obi-Wan fighting versus Darth Maul, I thought that was phenomenal.
I think that was the best fight scene of all Star Wars, this one. The one in The Phantom Menace. That was the best one. It was so original. It was like a Darth Maul with the double blade lightsabers. I think it was great. I think it was like the best best fight scene. Even the choreography was amazing. I actually met the real Darth Maul, Ray Park.
Me too.
He's incredible. Yeah, he's got amazing. He's an amazing choreograph.
During that fight scene, when they were double teaming him there, at one point you see Obi-Wan go to faint, and then Qui-Gon goes in. It was so great. And when Darth Maul takes out Qui-Gon, when he takes out Qui-Gon, and for a second you saw Obi-Wan almost lose his shit. Like he's like, no! And then you see and then he's just looking at him, Darth Maul, and then you see him right before, he knows when the force field's going to go down, and you see him start to jump up and down a little bit. Like, it was so, you know what I mean? Like, he had to focus again. He had to keep his cool, and then he went back in. Little things like that is what made that so special. Like,
you know that apparently Lucas, he had planned for the sequel, and he wanted, his plan was to bring back Darth Maul, because after the Emperor dies and the Empire dies out, some of the criminal organization resurface, and because there's nobody to make the rules now. So some of the criminal organization resurface, and Darth Maul would have resurfaced with an apprentice called Darth Talon, who's a Togruta, and she would have been like his sort of right arm. His protege, and Luke would have found his academy, his Jedi Academy. So that was the plan, the original plan of Lucas. But unfortunately, it was scratched from Disney, and they made it. They made the sequel the way it was.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because I know with the lore. Now you blow me out, because I haven't read any of the. You read the books. You read some books with it.
Yeah, I read a lot of it. Yeah, now, and I I mean, I like Star Wars because it's really like a life lesson in the same time. You know, like if
Yeah.
you look at the story of Anakin, Anakin was the most talented. He could have been the greatest, but he never reached his full potential because he went to the dark side. And it's same. A lot of similar situation happen in life. You know, you see a lot of guys that they have so much potential, but they ruined it because of who they become, their actions.
These are the life lessons we learn from this. With these books that you read, if you had the ideal trilogy, like the follow-up, instead of The Force Awakens, where would you, because you read those books, where would you, if there's a certain book that would have the direction, what direction would you have went with the trilogy, the follow-on?
I think I liked it when I saw the first episode of the sequel. Okay, I did not lose hope. I lost hope when I saw the way they portray Luke. I didn't like that. Yeah. But after the first episode of the sequel, I thought Snoke was Darth Plagueis.
That would have been.
That would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. That would have been. And the Knights of Ren, they had some story that it was interesting. But then after they kind of, I didn't like the choice they made. The choice they made, they kind of destroyed everything that they set up the table for. The Knights of Ren. Kylo Ren is the master of the Knights of. Who are the Knights of Ren? We never heard about them, much, until the last one. But it was interesting that they had some interesting plot that they could have explored differently and made it more interesting. Snoke could have been Darth Plagueis. There would have been a lot of different options for them to make it more interesting.
Or they could have just followed the books themselves. You said the books were great, weren't they?
Couldn't they have just followed?
Why not?
They had different story. They had the one with the Wuzang Vong. It was a race of alien that attacked them. That everything they have, it's organic. I mean, it's great. I mean, they had a bunch of stuff that they could use, and they didn't do it. Well, Star Killer, they had from the video game. They had a bunch of stuff. It's just sad. I think they could have done a better story.
Maybe they could write the ship. Maybe they'll hear all the backlash and they'll listen to this. And
you know what would be great, Matt? And I want to hear your opinion on that because you're a hardcore fan. And I think they should just redo it like they do with Batman. Redo another, like the entire episode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's it. And then you remake it with a similar story, but maybe you change the sequel.
Interesting. Hey, man.
I don't know if it would be doable, but you remake the whole thing, like in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Same story or different stories? A little like
maybe similar, like a little bit like they do with Batman. Batman is always the same kind of story, but they switch things around. I think if there's a trilogy that the story needs to be changed, maybe I think it would be the sequel. I think they could make it with a better story because when they made the sequel, from what I've heard, they made one episode at the time. Yes. They didn't have a plan for the sequel. They didn't plan the entire sequel. They planned one episode at a time. That's why it looks like it was not. Yeah. It was not as well done, I think.
100%. Yeah, it definitely went downhill. Now, before we get off this,
that's my opinion. Yeah. Maybe some guys that would be, the sequel were my favorite. Maybe. I mean.
Everybody's got their opinion.
You know where they're going with it with the James Mangold stuff. James Mangold directed Logan. He's doing one that takes place 25,000 years, like the start of the Jedi, the start of the Sith. Like he's going back 25,000 years.
And that's the next movie?
Not the next one, but within the next couple. Because he's the guy. He did Logan and all these other movies, and he's going to explore that side of it.
He's got quality work. What do you think of? What I don't mind, and I think it's pretty good. It's cute. It's a Skeleton Crew. Do you watch it?
Yeah, I didn't watch the last one that just came out yesterday, but I watched it. So it's like the Goonies.
Yeah, exactly. They even have a scene when they go into like the tunnels when they fall through a chute when they're like sliding down it. It reminds you of the Goonies. It's just fun. It's for like preteens. And it's got that Goonie vibe to it. And it's just like a fun time. It doesn't, I I definitely don't hate it. It's fun.
It's mostly for kids, I think, and it's good for young adult. Like, you know, you watch it. I lost a little bit of hope after the Acolyte. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was like, man, it's sad. I hope they're not, you know. But now with this one, the Skeleton Crew, I kind of liked it. Yeah.
Now, because we talked about Darth Maul and that crime syndicate stuff, what did you think of Solo?
Solo was okay, but it was not my favorite at all. Yeah. Like, that was not my favorite at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Rogue One was good.
I thought Rogue One was great. I loved
Rogue One. I think it was great.
A little depressing, but it did end with, you know, it kind of the way it went. Right, that Darth Vader scene was through the roof, you know. And I like the way it did segue right into A New Hope, which was awesome. You know.
Yeah, and one I would have liked to see as a movie, it's Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan should have been a movie, not a series.
It should have been a movie, and it should have been they shouldn't have had that chick in it, because you know why? They made it a lot about her, and that's great. Make her own series. But I did not like the Obi-Wan series at all.
Yeah.
I thought that so many things I can get into, but it's too much to get into. It did not resonate.
No, it was a lot of scene that, man, when the first time they met and with the fire. Why? I mean, it didn't make sense. I mean, a lot of scenes, it didn't make sense. You know, like he was.
It was upsetting, kind of like the Boba Fett series. The only series to really get, I like the Andor. How'd you think of Andor?
But if you have a chance, Matt, there's a guy. His name is Cal Pedersen, and he took the Obi-Wan TV series and he made a movie with it. You have to watch it.
Where is that? On YouTube?
Amazing. Yeah. It's actually pretty good. He made it much better. I think Cal Patterson Cut, it's called.
You got to let me know about that.
Yeah. Shout out to him if he listen. I mean, I really like what he did. I think he's great. I think Disney should hire him. He knows what the fans want, and he's great. I mean, he did an amazing job with the Obi-Wan. He cut it and he made it in like a movie. He cut out all the scenes that are not good, and he had certain things. I mean, it was great. You have to watch it.
I'm gonna check that out, man. That is so amazing. All right, George, listen, man. By the way, you checked out Andor?
I did, yes.
I liked it. I thought it was all right.
All right.
It was okay. It was good. It was done serious, and I remember when it was. I enjoyed it. I like that character. I think he's cool. You know, I like those little anti-heroes that they're willing to go to dark places, but they, you know.
One I like, it's Tale of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Is that good?
They explain the backstory of Count Dooku, how he turned to the dark side a little bit. You have to watch it. It's animated, but it's actually pretty good.
You know, Christian got me. I watched a lot of those Clone Wars, not the later episodes. And also, I like some of the Bad Batch. I'm into all that. As long as it's good and it's not too kiddie. Like, you know what I mean? Some of them are dark.
Rebels had some dark moments.
Rebels did have some good moments, you know? And then they have them show up in Ahsoka, and that killed that for me, too. You guys are hippie all of a sudden. Guy's doing the Tai Chi of the Force. He's the
you know? Right.
George, what do you have do you have anything coming up that you want to promote, buddy? You have any are you on any movie sets? Anything you could talk about?
Actually, I'm working on a new prototype of machine that use air as resistance. It's gonna come out in this year, and it's with base block, and I'm very excited for. I mean, it's not out yet, but it's something I've been working for 5 years with engineers, and it makes you work only in concentric, no load, and eccentric. I mean, it's great. It's allowed you to work out at 100% of your intensity with no risk of getting injured. I mean, that's one thing I would like to promote. That's the thing. And I have a clothing line called Still Standing Strong. It's a clothing line that is inspired by people from all walks of life that overcome obstacle, and just started myself quite recently.
And now where can we find this? On your social media?
Yeah, online, stillstandingstrong.com.
So, I mean, George, listen, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Can I tell you right now, and my wife and kids can attest to this, anytime anybody brings up my fight with you, I say the same thing. I go, oh, thank you so much. I go, don't watch the rematch. I always say that. So I try to be humble too, George. But obviously they go, oh, I seen that. I go, don't elaborate. But George, man, you're such a genuine dude. You're a great guy. I'm happy for all your success, man. And thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Matt. It's good talking to you, man.
All right, man. We'll talk after next Star Wars.
Happy 2025. A lot of health, love, and success to you and your family.
To you too, my friend. Thank you. The great George St. Pierre. Hit the applause button.
It's there.
Take care, George. Thank you, brother.
Bye. Take care.
Take care, bro. How fun was that?
What a cool conversation. I got to tell you that, like, so for you, I could tell even from you talking to him, like because I asked you yesterday about it, and you're like, yeah, he's such a great guy in general, and you can see the genuine nature of him. But as you remember how I told you, like, I found you,
yes,
and like from betting on you back in the day for that fight,
yes.
But I was such a GSP fan in general, like who wasn't, right? Yeah. So for me, not only sitting here listening to you guys talk about your history and just the fight game in general and the laughs together and seeing how you both have such a genuine respect for each other, but then to see you guys both geeking out about Star Wars, this was a special one for me.
This was a great one, man.
Yeah.
I reached out to George. I gave him just literally one call. He got back to me right away, and that fight did a lot for me, for my family, and I'll always be linked to him and with that. So and I only got stopped when I have my losses in MMA, but I only got stopped twice. I only got stopped twice. One was by Shoney Carter, which I redeemed myself with by that spinning back fist in a fight I was winning, and the other one was with George in the rematch. So if I had to get stopped by somebody, because I'm a proud dude, at least it's to a gentleman like that.
Yeah. It's like a 50-50, like you said.
Yeah.
You got one, he's got one.
I had he's part of my story. I'm part of his story. He's going to go down as one of the greatest that ever did it. I always prided, this is the difference between a guy who's meant to be a reigning champion and a guy that, like myself, which is it's not a bad thing. It is what it is. I was always content, like myself saying, like, I fought BJ Penn, I fought Matt Hughes, I fought such guys where I went bell to bell with the guys that were the best fighters on the planet, and they all knew they were in a fight. And to me, that was enough, because I'm like, dude, I'm one of the best on the planet. And then there's that other level where I wanted to be the best to ever do it.
Right.
That's George, So I would, maybe that's the difference with that. I don't know, but I sleep well at night.
Yes.
I'm here with you guys. I'm here with my island of misfit toys. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time. Next week, upcoming episodes. You know what's so funny, man? I did that Quentin Jackson podcast I told you about, the Jackson podcast. So when I was there, Quentin took my number, I took his. But you know how you take a number and you don't put the name in right away? Yeah. So I get a text last night. It's so funny because we were talking about reaching out to people. And it's just organically happened. I get a text from him saying, hey, somebody wants your number. Is it okay if I give this dude your number? Something. I go, who is this? And he goes, I didn't recognize the number. I texted back. And he laughed. He goes, man, you didn't put me in your phone? He goes, it's Quentin Rampage, your black friend. I go, hey, come on. I called him right away. I go, dude. He goes, nah, I do the same shit. So we're going to have Quentin Rampage Jackson on soon.
That's great.
And then I was talking to my buddy, Big Roy Nelson.
That's going to be fun.
Big Country?
Of course.
Yeah, so Roy Nelson's going to come on too. He's a Henzo Gracie black belt, and he was a phenomenal fighter as well. So we got some fun shit coming.
And we're reaching out to some other people that we don't know yet, but we have some fun ones that we're reaching out to.
Yeah, that's my thing of 2025. I'm reaching out.
Yeah, and I love that. And look what you did so far. You reached out. Look, GSP. Look at that.
We're starting strong, baby. I don't do this arm. No bicep.
This time you do.
Guys, stay humble yet dangerous. Find your superpower. See you next week.